So what do you...
Do you hear that? Is it supposed to sound like this?
Mr. Deity, I think it sounds great.
Larry, the whole thing is a train wreck. It's...
Sir, you're being a perfectionist.
Well, yeah.
You had 6 days for this project.
Actually, I had 7, but there's no way I'm coming in tomorrow now. I'm so depressed.
Okay, well then, we really should wrap up the whole evil thing. Sir, Mr. Deity, what you're allowing, what you're not allowing.
Okay, where were we?
Well, we last left off, we had decided, well, actually you had decided, sir, that you weren't going to allow people to harm each other with merely their thoughts.
Their thoughts, yeah, that's good. That's good.
Right, next up, kind of a biggie, holocausts.
Yeah, I'm going to allow it.
Okay, holocausts in. Next up, torture. Broad brush here. You got men, women, children, animals.
Babies?
Babies, yes.
Yeah, I'm going to leave it in.
Okay, torture's in. Sir, you are all-powerful, right?
What is it? What is
I mean, I was just thinking, because the list, it was just, the list, because the list, okay, moving down the list, sir. Down syndrome.
Down, what is it again?
It's a birth defect, causes a mental retardation, has the certain morphological consequence.
Oh, yeah, that's awful. It's so sad.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's leave it in.
Okay. Down syndrome. In. Well, the next one, I checked with the boys down in research on this, said we're safe to leave it out.
What is it?
That natural disaster complement, the earthquakes, floods, tsunamis.
Yeah, I need to have that in.
Well, sir, I actually spoke with the head of R&D myself on this one. Sir, I spoke with the head of R&D, okay? He said if we leave this out, it's not going to affect anybody's free will or violate natural law or anything like that. And since you're way over quota on the gratuitous pain and suffering...
Here's the thing. If we take it out, it's going to be way too easy for people to believe in me.
No, sir, let me go over the list. Holocausts, torture, and Down syndrome. Those 3 alone make it kind of hard to believe in you.
No, I don't think so.
Sir, really, if you add the natural disasters, you got earthquakes, floods, tsunamis, you throw in a hard winter or 2, no one's going to believe in you.
Sure they will.
Sir, I really don't think they will.
For how much? I'll bet you a C note, and I'll make you Archangel if I'm wrong.
But sir, I don't want to wager with you.
Yeah, because you know you're wrong.
No, because I know you're the God of the universe, the all-knowing God. You can see the future. All is present with you.
Okay, that's a good point. That's fair. 10 to 1?
Sir, please don't insult my intelligence.
100 to 1?
100 to 1. You're on.
Okay, so is that it? Can we go, or is...
No, not even close. Conjoined twins.
We're going to be here all night. Yeah, leave it.
Okay, conjoined twins. Lou Gehrig's disease.
Yeah, leave it in. Okay,
leave it in.
Oh, but wait for Lou.
Wait for Lou, makes sense. I assume you have no problem with childhood cancer.
No.
Celine Dion.
What we're going to start out with is understand that Ryan's been talking through 1 Peter, so a lot of the concepts of how God uses pain and suffering from a theological standpoint are covered. We're going to cover the apologetic side of the equation today. And we'll start with nothing. There we go. So there's really 2 different aspects of it. There's a logically sufficient response to the problem of evil, and that's more philosophical. And then there's the emotionally satisfying response. Why is this happening to me? The first one is actually pretty easy to answer. The second one is nearly impossible. So we're going to answer these questions in 2 separate sections. Because they are completely different answers. Okay, so that's the plan here. But we're going to use YouTube. You can crank that up. I'll start it over. Should probably let you know. Since most of the philosophical answers, you can listen to philosophers that have these really nice and deep answers to the problem of evil. But I thought we'd use YouTube because YouTube, which I call the ignorance aggregator, is probably where most of your wannabe philosophers are spreading how they feel about the problem of evil. So why not? We'll start there, see if we can answer their responses here.
What really brought about evil in the first place was Lucifer, or Satan, whatever you want to call him, came down from heaven, and he told Eve to eat the fruit off the tree of knowledge of good and evil. And ultimately, if God was truly all-knowing and all-powerful, if he had known, then he should have known that Lucifer, the devil, would have fallen from heaven before he even created him, before he even conceived of creating him. Although actually that's also impossible, because God doesn't conceive anything. There's no new idea. He knows everything. It's a very abstract concept, actually. But yeah, God created the devil and therefore created evil. And to say that the only reason evil exists is because of our free will, that's also impossible. Because God made us and he knew exactly what we were going to do before and after our creation. Like, seriously, he knows everything that can and will and has and is happening. And he is not willing to prevent it. And so, to reiterate, God created evil because he created what is supposedly the evil force in the spiritual war between heaven and hell. Because he created Lucifer and he created hell, supposedly, as the place where the sinners go. And therefore, he also created a place of eternal suffering. And I would really argue that that is just a horribly unjust punishment. If any judge, if you think about God as a judge, which is the most common analogy like that referring to justice and God and heaven and hell, they say that it's like a trial, and that if you fail, you go to hell. And if you go to hell, then you're tortured forever. But who created hell? Was it the devil? Or was it God? Well, ultimately, I believe that God, even if he didn't create it originally himself, he knew that it would be created, because he created Lucifer, Satan, the devil, who fell from heaven, and who then inhabited hell.
Okay, so the lesson there is that don't smoke pot before you do philosophy on YouTube, all right? Seriously. So basically what he did is he talked about the problem of evil. Now this is, in case you don't know, this is a philosophical argument. You have different premises here and then a conclusion. God is all-knowing. I mean, you saw that from the first video as well. So if he's all-knowing, he knows who's going to act in an evil manner, right? God is all-powerful. Therefore, he can stop evil. God is all-good. So he wants to stop evil. Well, evil exists, therefore God cannot exist. So if you look at that, looks like we're up a pretty well-known creek without a paddle, right? But are we? The concept today is really to get you thinking about what people are saying. Because the first thing we want to do is determine whether or not these philosophical premises are true. So let's start with the bottom first. Does evil exist? Now the 90% of the people that were in Theology Pub on Wednesday probably know the answer to that. But your heart probably tells you yes, right? Evil exists. We see it all the time. Let me ask you a question. My prop here. Anybody ever eaten a donut hole? I don't mean the little fancy round donuts they make. I mean the hole in a donut. Of course not. You can't eat a donut hole. There's nothing there. Think about evil as a moral whole. Evil doesn't actually exist. It's the absence of something that exists, right? Good. You can say the same thing about heat. Heat comes from the sun. Heat exists. What happens when you take away heat? What's left is cold. And that goes on and on. Certainly dark's the same way. We turned off the light, it got darker in here. So evil doesn't actually exist. It doesn't have any